Hi, Mitali. Thank you for joining us on this webinar. To everyone who's
Hi,
listening,
Ritika.
this webinar is about the ML. It's about ML and AI, and we have with us Mitali here, who's going to talk about what is a hackathon. She's going to tell you all the details about how to go about participating in a hackathon, what is the advantage of taking part in hackathons, and she's also going to deep dive into the topic of data science, ML, and AI. So let's get started with the questions. Mitali,
Sure.
what according to you is a hackathon, and what was your very first experience of taking part in a hackathon?
Okay. So, see, in general, organizations have a lot of business problems to solve, right? And they have a limited set of developers in the organization itself to tackle those. Now, outside that, we have a huge developer community. Like there are a lot of developers who are freelancers or working for an organization. So, and they have their own specific skill sets. So, a hackathon actually connects them, all these community developers, to a specific business problem and indirectly to an organization, through which they can also feel that they are solving a challenging problem which hits a lot of audience and creates a huge amount of impact. So by taking part in a hackathon, you can actually like contribute in general and reach out a lot mass of audience. So hackathon gives you a platform to showcase your own talents. For a developer also it's helpful because it helps you solve core business problems. So it gives you that confidence that yes, I'm capable of doing something like this. And it also helps them like hone their skills. And at the same point, like for organizations, it is helpful because they can leverage a huge amount of community to solve any problem.
Sure, sure.
Uh,
And Mitali, what is your first experience of a hackathon?
So like I took part in hackathons through HackerEarth itself, and like it was pretty good. We also have internal hackathons that you might be aware of. So we like as developers, we mostly work on roadmaps that is given by the organization. So in internal hackathons, especially we make use of our creative juices and work on problems that are actually like for us mean a lot. Like it may be building some internal tool or solving an organization related problem. So I took part in hackathons both internally in like at HackerEarth and also like external hackathons which are provided on platform in HackerEarth. So it was pretty amazing actually. Like I would say like I got to meet a lot of developers outside community, like outside office also, who contributed along with me like on a business problem, and got to know a lot of people, solved good amount of problems, and also it felt very satisfying because I felt that I'm creating some kind of impact.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. So my next question to you is, in your opinion, what is the value add for students who participate in hackathons?
Yeah, so as I said, see, for students, they get they need to actually solve more practical problems. Like the current education system is like people focus more on theoretical problems, but in order to actually like measure their skills at length, they need to solve practical problems, and there could be no better way of doing it than through hackathons and practicing on platforms like HackerEarth. So by this, they would know that they are actually solving a core problem, which is there out in the industry. And then they know that like whatever solution they build is going to help the organizations also. So indirectly, they are also contributing like towards the growth of an organization. So I'm sure that it will be pretty helpful for students to like really hone their skills and to actually evaluate themselves that where do they stand on practical skill set.
Right. What is the value add for working professionals, people who are, people who have 2 to 3 years of experience in the industry and the field?
Right. See, hackathons are also of different levels and for of different challenges, right? Like different difficulty levels. So for people who have around 2, 3 years of experience, it is definitely a value addition to solve more and more problems because one advantage being that you are always limited to the kind of work you are doing in an organization, and you don't know what is happening out there in the market, what other people are solving, what challenges that they are facing, or what technologies they are working on. So it is definitely a medium for them to first know that and to be on top of that technological stack in terms of skill set. Other than that, in their own fields, they would, if they take part in hackathons or solve problems that are outside their organization, they would also know that what is latest or what is trending technology in their own technical stack. So let's say if I'm a data scientist and there is a new neural network model that is out there, I would probably be able to make use of it. If I take part in a hackathon, and it may not be applicable if I solve some roadmap related problems for my own organization. So it depends, right? So definitely there is a value addition there. And also, like, they get to meet developers outside their own circle of colleagues, and that would also help them to understand what problems they are working on, and they get to like enhance their own skill set by doing this.
Right, right. So we see more and more companies from diverse industries hosting hackathons, right? So they do this as a step towards innovation. So, what do you think is the ROI that these kind of companies reap while they host hackathons?
Yeah, Ankita. So, one is that they definitely get to leverage this huge amount of community that is out there, right? And they get to understand that what is going on in these people's minds and what kind of unique solutions that they can come up with. So, if there is a lot of people who are brainstorming on a particular problem and from diverse skill sets and also the kind of problems that they are working on in their organizations, so you can get a like mix of all these combinations, and it is definitely useful for them to see a out of box solution that you might get, right, which you may have never thought of. And in case they also want to hire these kind of developers, so then what better way could have been there if you can directly assess someone's skill sets and you see that they have already solved a business problem for you. So that is a like very good ROI, I would say, for them.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of developers who are entirely new to the concept of hackathons, right? So they are first
Mhm.
time people who are just exploring what a hackathon looks like. So what are some of the tips or best practices that you would suggest to these kind of new developers?
So I would say that they have to keep looking for opportunities, and there are a lot of platforms available. Like HackerEarth is one of them, of course, where they can see the themes that are related, that are there in hackathons, and they can find something which like entices them, and they can start solving problems in that. It may take some time to actually reach there where you can actually build a solution, but you need to keep on going, and that's the only way out there, that you keep practicing, you keep trying to find the problems that like interest you and the themes that interest you. There may be domains like somewhere who is very like attached to healthcare domain, like we see that given the current situation of coronavirus out there, right? So there may be people who want to build something that may make an impact and that might help people in these times, in these very horrible times. So as you would know, that we also have a COVID-related hackathon, and people can contribute in that, and you never know what kind of solution one might come up with.
So Mitali, moving on to questions which are a little more centered around, data science and ML. The first main question that we have, and this is something that we hear a lot of times, is what is the difference between data science, machine learning, and AI?
Yeah, I get that a lot, and I understand a lot of people have a lot of confusion around it. So, like, even when I started, like, this was definitely a confusing bit because people use all of these terms together and separately, and then we think, do they all mean the same or they are different? So, yeah, I would say that think of everything as artificial intelligence, right? It's a whole big universe. And in that, you have different components like machine learning, right? which is a branch of it, a sub part of it, basically. And then it comes NLP, which is natural language processing, natural language understanding, NLU, then NLG, which is natural language generation, then statistics. So all of this combined makes artificial intelligence. Now, data science it's a science, right? So when you read about body, right? So it's about biology, human biology, and you study about biological science maybe related to that. So it's the concepts, the theories, or the information that builds all these algorithms together, that binds it all together. That is data science. So it is not a technique, but I would say it's the science of it, to put it in very layman terms. And all of this combined forms artificial intelligence. So you may use one part of it, which is machine learning, or another part of it, which is deep learning. So it depends on use case to use case basis.
Wonderful. Thank you for clarifying that. Another thing which I wanted to ask you, right, is what is the ideal journey or the path that a data science or an ML enthusiast takes before they go into becoming an expert?
Okay. Uh, so I would say that, see, first of all, no one is an expert. Everyone is learning because this field is uh, so much evolving every day. Every day we see that new researchers have come up with new algorithm, new technique, new technological stack for it, new platforms, new tools. So like it's a never-ending process, right? And the learning is never going to stop. And we have to keep evolving. We have to keep brushing up our skills, keep ourselves updated to the latest technologies that are out there. So to answer your question precisely, how do we start? And then how do we carry on in this journey? And then where do we reach, right? So from my own experience, I started I had no clue about machine learning or anything related to it while I was doing my bachelor's, honestly. I did my bachelor's from electronics and communication engineering. And till that time, I had no idea about it. Then I did my master's, and it was from IIIT Bangalore. And that gave me a very good platform, like the professors out there and everyone. And from there, I started to understand that what am I interested in? What do I want to do? So there were different specializations that we had to choose from. Over there, one was like maybe specializing in database management, other was machine learning, then there was other field related to embedded systems. So I was very much interested in machine learning. From there, I got to know about it. And then I took up projects which were related to machine learning. I took projects in robotics. I worked with Roomba robots and built some machine learning algorithms and implemented those algorithms working on it. From there, I got interested and got to know, okay, what this field is about. Then I was lucky enough to get an opportunity in the job that I took. So I had a few job offers, and I chose the one where I knew that I'm going to get some work related to machine learning, and that was in Samsung Research, and I built algorithms for their touchscreen, and using some statistical algorithms, using some machine learning algorithms. And from then onwards, the journey started. And then I worked in a startup where I built their analytics engine, which was related to their data, like and image analytics plus text analytics, like comparing different products on e-commerce websites. So, like as and when you keep solving business problems, right? And the actual problems that are out there, like one of the problems that I solved for them was, how do you know that one Adidas red t-shirt on Flipkart is the same on Amazon? And if you have to compare the prices, you need to know that these two products are same. And there is no way out there. You can't tell just by the name, because if you Google or if you search over there, Adidas red t-shirt, you might probably find 50 or hundreds of them. So we built image analytics engine which could match using these images that these two are identical or these two are heavily similar to each other. So this was one of the problems that is solved there. So the point is that as and when you keep solving problems, right, which are actually a pain point for these organizations, and they're trying to solve it, and you use machine learning algorithms, that's when you keep gaining confidence that yes, I have solved this one problem in one domain. Now at HackerEarth, I'm in recruitment domain. And we use AI-based algorithms to solve one of some few problems in recruitment industry. So the only way to reach, I would not say expert level, but to reach some stage where you can say that, yeah, given a problem, maybe I can solve it. And I have some confidence that, yes, I can solve it. To reach that stage, the only way of doing it is through practice, to keep solving more and more problems which are related to businesses, which are actually a pain point for them. So the more use cases you solve, the better you become at it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow. It's amazing to hear about it. So the next question that I have is, how do I as a candidate know which tools, technologies, frameworks can be used to solve a particular problem statement?
Right. So that's a tricky question, Ankita. I would say that there are a lot of tools out there, and it's very confusing for any candidate. And I can really understand that it's a genuine pain point. I would suggest that start small. Like pick one domain. Like if you are working on classification, right? How do you classify images? Let's say you have 1,000 images, and you know that they are of different animals. How do you know that's a cat? It's a dog. It's a classic machine learning problem. So start small, start with one problem and see that what is the architecture that is followed for it, right? There are a certain steps that are followed for solving any particular problem. Like first, you process the images, you clean your data, then you try to extract what are the features that are there in the data, then you make use of some algorithm to classify them. So for each one of these steps, you will find some algorithms. And rather than trying to take up a horizontal approach where you try to make use of all the algorithms that are possible, try to take a vertical approach where you try to deep down into one problem, try to find this complete solution for it, and then you would know that, okay, why it worked or why it didn't work. And then you can maybe explore some other algorithm for it. And as in when you are solving this, right, you are making use of this process where you are where you know the architecture behind a solution, then you would gradually know about the tools also, and you would see that people are making use of some tool, other person is making use of some other tool, and you would know by experience. The only way of doing it by solving it. Sorry, but there is no other way out there. Try to make a formulated architecture for it. Like try to take a step-by-step approach. Try to break it down into steps, and then only you will be able to know that what's the importance of each step, and how this step could be used in some other problem. So if you just see one problem as a whole, and as I mentioned about this classification problem, right? And people would want to immediately jump to solution that I will take a neural network model, train it, and then I'll get the classified results. No, that's not how you should work. You should try to break it into steps that, okay, what is the first step I should take? Maybe let me look at my images. Do I need to clean them? If yes, then do that. There may be hundreds of ways of doing that. Pick one way and then do it. So take a step-by-step approach, build a architecture for it, build a pipeline for it, and then go for it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. How important is the knowledge of data engineering and data visualization when approaching a problem statement?
See, as data scientists, it may not be a lot necessary that you know data engineering completely or visualizations completely. But it depends on what kind of organizations you are working for. I would say that visualization, even if you are not that much comfortable with, it's still okay. So data analysts are the people who usually play around with data and build visualizations around it, and then they present a comprehensive report on it, right? So as data scientists are, if you're working for a startup where you need to actually end to end build the whole solution, there a small idea about visualizations also or pipelining won't hurt, right? It's always good to know that how your solution is fitting into the product. Your job is not just to build a model, right? If you just do that, you won't be satisfied. You won't know that how it is actually getting used and how is it useful for the organization. So to actually get that feel that you are solving a problem end to end, You maybe need to build a model, then need to know how to integrate that with the product. And then once you have integrated it, what kind of impact is it making? Like your job doesn't end there once your model is built, right? You should also know that is it even useful, or what kind of accuracy results is it producing? What kind of impact is it making for my organization? So to do all of that, maybe if you know a bit of visualization, you can present all these stats in form of a dashboard. And that's the practice we do at HackerEarth. Like all the developers out there, all the team, my team especially of data scientists, they follow this end-to-end approach, and we do calculate the importance of each feature that we have built in terms of impact metrics. So you should personally know how all of this is tied together. And that obviously doesn't mean that you need to deep dive into it and know everything about it. You cannot be a jack of all trades, so, and master of none. So but have some idea about it.
Wonderful. If a hackathon had a very general or a generic theme, right, where
Mhm.
developers are asked to use AI and ML to build their solutions, how would you suggest
Mhm.
they go about selecting the industry and also the approach that is best suited for their solution?
Okay. So industry, as I mentioned, it depends on your interest or the problem statement, right? For example, I will say that I know a few people who are from agriculture background, and for them, it may be very exciting to see if there is a hackathon which is related to agri-tech industry, and they would be extremely excited to solve that. They have actually seen the problems that people face, farmers face at ground level, and if they can do something using technology to solve their pain points, I don't think that there is anything else that would give them that kind of satisfaction. So that is one way of looking at it. Then there might be people who might have had like some history of health issues, right, in their families, and they would be willing to solve that in some way or the other. So choosing an industry or theme entirely depends on you, like what you are mostly related to, what you feel for, and what is the mission that you follow in your life. So for me personally, I have seen a history of health issues in my family. So if I see some hackathon which is related to healthcare industry and I feel that I can contribute, I would be very much open to do that. So that's the answer to the first part of your question. To answer the second part, like what kind of tools they should use for it, it depends on the problem. So what kind of problem you are solving. So like you can maybe check what other people are using, what is their open source, if there is a solution similar which already exists. And if you want to scale the solution, maybe a solution is for 100 people, then the other solution, other problem that you are solving is for millions of people, right? So then you need to use something that is scalable also, robust also. So it all depends on the problem statement, honestly.
All right. Thank you, Mitali. So that's the end of the technical questions that we had, the 5 questions. Now, moving on to the discussion about HackerEarth hackathons. So, Mitali, just wanted to understand what are the kind of hackathons that are conducted under AI and ML by HackerEarth? So, what kind of industries do you see? What are the kind of themes or problem statements that you guys cater to?
Yeah. So Ankita, like we have problem statements or hackathons across different kind of industries like fintech, telecommunication, healthcare, and so on. So, for example, in fintech industry, right, we have problems related to stockpile analysis or handwriting analysis. So, which helps organizations detect fraud. So, for example, if you're solving a problem related to handwriting analysis, you might want to build an OCR, so which can actually match signatures or handwritings, right? And you might train your own deep learning model for it. So this is one example. Then in telecommunication and retail, we make use of, we solve problems like consumer behavior and also supply chain. So for example, you might want to build a graph and a graph or make use of a graph database to understand consumer behavior, right? And then or recommend candidates or people who might churn out. So this is also one of the problems that is out there. And then comes healthcare. Healthcare is a very crucial sector in these days. And we have problems related to video content analysis, contextual care protocol. So all these areas. So where you might have training data related to maybe X-rays, or you may make use of computer vision to solve these problems, right? Where maybe you see articles out there where these days people are like, we can detect cancer from X-rays, and there is with a high level of accuracy. So there are a lot of problems out there, and few of the very impactful areas are also touched upon on our platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Mitali, for sharing so much information about HackerEarth, the kind of hackathons that they conduct, what are the value adds for participants, for companies taking part in hackathons. So this has all been very enriching. Also, to get a complete analysis and an understanding of what data science, machine learning, and AI is has been amazing. So thank you so much for being the speaker for the webinar. It was a pleasure working with you. And I'm
Thank
just
you so
going
much,
to
Sanjana.
stop